So I want to thank someone very special. He's over there in the blue sweater. That is Neil Van de Ree. He got the Wi-Fi going. Let's have a big round of applause. I had nothing to do with it. Neil worked on this for about an hour and a half. What was it finally, Neil?
Some blue button, but I just hope it keeps working. So get on it now because I'll leave her.
Okay, Neil's the guy. And who is Neil? Neil is here from Florida. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you from Tallahassee or?
From Miami area.
He's from the Miami area. He represents the Church of Perpetual Life. And he's got a table in that room. Go over and at least thank him profusely for getting us online. Okay, our next speaker is Kevin Russell. I mentioned him earlier. He is with SeriousWonder.com, and I'm really looking forward to him. He is a techno-optimist, and he's a lot of fun. Are you going to tell any stories about your physical transformation?
I will.
Good, good. Here he is. Big round of applause for Kevin Russell.
This will work out nice because Andreas talks about engineering consciousness from the external. I'll talk about it from the internal. This is transhumanist vision, so I'll talk about my transition into a transhumanist. And it started, I ran an internet cafe down in San Diego, and this provided monetary success, but a ton of cognitive stress. And society and culture, they told me that, you make a lot of money, you buy the big truck, you buy the boat, and you're going to have happiness. Consciousness will be a peaceful type of experience. And I just didn't experience that. For 2 years running this thing, 100 hours a week, it was all games, and it was fast food, and it was, get into the feedback. Good. You all hear me? All good? All right, good. So this led to kind of like I would say a breakdown. And then, you want to go to the next slide? This is, I could only understand, you hear that? Don't stand close there. So, we all good? Alright. So how I understand my neurology was first with a religious upbringing, and I let that go. I lost my religious and my ideological foundation. And so I used computer language when I had an opportunity to fly up to Alaska and live on a gold mine. This was, I had to be flown in on a little 2-person Piper Cub, and no electricity, no internet, no connectivity whatsoever. This is completely foreign to me. I was one of the first people with cable internet. My whole life was connected to other things that mediated my internal experience. And so what Alaska allowed was a complete disconnect from this. There was I remember that the silence was completely deafening. The stillness was maddening. I couldn't just grab my phone and put on a podcast. I couldn't turn up the music loud to drown out that inner monologue. That was pessimistic. It was completely negative, and it was very judgmental. Anytime I would listen to my own thoughts, it really caused such cognitive dissonance within me. And so Alaska allowed 6 months of me sitting with the few philosophical books that I brought, and just a lot of time in my head. And from there, I took and I sold some gold, and then I just traveled all the way down the Yukon, all the way back down to San Diego. And I had the psychological tools at that point to calm the dissonance, but it wasn't enough. Go to the next one. So what happened was I developed a control-alt-delete function in my brain. People talk about this like meditation. I don't understand the yogis, and I studied them. I got into the Eckhart Tolle with all the New Earth and all of these types of things, and it was fundamental. Given that I was kind of like a child, I had no idea how to really operate my consciousness. And so what I did know how to do was operate computers really, really well. I just grew up with these things. So knowing that there was, the task manager of my mind, if I just sat there, did a control-alt-delete and started meditating, I could see what thought processes were running. And this allowed complete control over my system. And I could see that there was like ideological malware that was causing me all this stress. And so how do I kill that process? And so, so what was needed was a pharmacological format. Next, aka 5 drive bases. I studied, the Terrence Buchanans, the Timothy Learys, these people that I didn't know, I had no access to them. I just brought the literature up with me. I had no curriculum that would tell me exactly, the taboos and such. I was raised with a fundamental religion that caused me to really have an aversion to any of these type of drugs and such. But I did it in the shamanic fashion. I went to my home in Montana, and I did it alone, but with my Labradoodle, who was always with me. And I did this was called the heroic dose. And I didn't know what to expect, but I was in a place that I meditated for, weeks prior. I did the fasting. I did all the psychological prep work. What I did was I defragged my neurological computer, and then I introduced pharmacological, intervention. And I thought I would be hallucinating. I thought I would have all of these reports of the, mechanical machine elves and all of these other things, but I didn't. There was just a lucidity. There was a clarity. People talk about the visual acuity that you gain from psilocybin and such, and I really enjoyed that. I had also heard that you don't look in the mirror. But I was out in nature and whatnot, and then I decided, I need to just go inside. I handle this. This was not something that was, I wasn't, stumbling over it. I was very articulate. It was actually this beautiful state of mind. And there wasn't the logos that they talked of, which was the other, this other voice that comes and influences you. Until I went in and I saw myself in the mirror. And this shattered the illusion of who I saw. I saw myself as you would see me, not as I told myself I was. And what this did was it just shattered this illusion. I had been telling myself every day that I would run, I would work out the next day. I wasn't lazy, I was running a business, I was doing all of these things. And at that point, when I saw myself with this new psychedelic periscope, this lens that allowed me this other, it pulled me so far out of context that I saw myself. Go to the next. So I was 400 pounds, and I saw that for the first time staring at myself. And it was just this, that was the hallucination. I saw that the hallucination was what I experienced before the drugs. And this allowed me to actually see reality as you guys were seeing it. I completely had this delusion of what I saw. That morning, I remembered brushing my teeth and looking in the mirror. And I did not see this, but I introduced the 5 dried grams, and this is what I saw. And so I couldn't. This voice told me, and it was very comforting. And it came in and it told me that, you don't have to see this. You can make the changes. And so the next morning I woke up. Go to the next one. I called it learning the code. And so I woke up the next morning and I made some life changes. I signed up that morning. It was, I think, $2,700 for an Ironman triathlon. I was 400 pounds. I had not done any real physical activities. I was a gamer. I ran a gaming center. And so I said, it told like this thing was, I was probably still under the influence, and I sat there and I signed up for the Ironman. I said, in a year, when I look in that mirror, I will not see this in person. I will see the person that I saw under this influence, and the person that I knew I could be. So I joined the local gym. I sold all the monetary things that I was able to acquire back from the gaming center, and I trained for a year for this Ironman triathlon. It's a 2.5-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and 26-mile run. And this was one of the hardest things that I've experienced, but also one of the most rewarding. It allowed me to sit with my mind, to push myself, to work with that inner voice that was so pessimistic and negative. And then it started becoming very supportive. The more that I worked with it, the more that I changed this inner voice, it changed my external experience of the world, and then it started changing my external, you can go to the next one. And so this was me, during the Ironman, and I also got into the jiu-jitsu and the yoga, and it's completely reprogrammed everything about my neurology and my physical body and my psychology completely. Go to the next. And so what this has led to is this transition. What Andreas is talking about can be done in a subjective sense. You can use these type of, they call them drugs, but they can be those pharmacological, agents that help you change your conscious experience. It's done pragmatically. That's the thing. These are to be done responsibly. And if you do that, they can be very, very rewarding. And it changes, it's been a very intimate experience in my life. And it's led me into what I knew best, which was technology, and also it was pragmatic optimism. It was optimism that pushed me to train hard, to lose all the weight, to actually compete in the Ironman, to compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments, to do the yoga every single morning. Yoga was harder than both, by the way. Yoga is not to be dismissed. It's a beautiful experience as well. And so I branded myself as this optimist, this techno-optimist, and I enjoyed the pragmatism of science and work like Andreas and David Pierce, and I stumbled upon Gray Scott as well with Serious Wonder, and I started this podcast. And actually, Gray, he'll be speaking later. And, he offered me a partnership with Serious Wonder after following me in what I was doing with Techno-Optimist. And since then, I've been able to travel to New York, and I've been able to travel all around to be able to meet all these people and to spread this optimism. It's pragmatic optimism. It leads to a more resonance. For me, it leads to a more resonance with who I am, an authentic version of myself, and not clouded in all the ideological perspectives that that malware that hindered it. It really was like that. That's the only way I can really talk about it. These things are like spywares. Beliefs become programs in my mind. And what is the most beneficial program do I run on my neurological operating system? Religion itself, to me, is an operating system. And you can pick and choose. But I've been in the open source state, and I developed through all these debates. David Pierce, Ryan Bethencourt, all these people have now caused me to really change how I see even the food that I eat. And I've been, since the first of the year, they pushed me into the vegetarian role. I'm not vegan yet, but the perpetuation of suffering on sentient life makes a lot of sense. The cognitive dissonance that's afforded me when I'm looking at this meat, it was just too much at this point. I have too much evidence, and my goal in life is to clear that cognitive dissonance, to control Alt-Delete, to pull up my task manager, and clear all the malware away. And I think I'm out of time there, right? So yeah, that's kind of my transition into this transhuman world. And the quote that I love is, transhuman is to overcome the biological limitations with technological innovations. And I think that we're on the trajectory of the people that are pragmatically working on this. Thank you for your time.
Great. Next we're going to have Pavel Lupshaw. Is that correct? Yes. He's just going to talk for about 2 minutes about his project. He wants to take my mic. Okay, here he comes. One of our 5 Russians or something in the lineup. Here he is.
Hello, my name is Pavel Lupsha, and I'm here to represent the initiative called Global NeuroWeb Foresight. And I was amazed this morning to hear so many people talking about the importance of consciousness exploration and the way it can have impact on our transformation, so achieving this transhumanist dream. And we believe that me and the group that I represent, which involves the leading Russian scholars on neuroscience, people who study consciousness, psychologists, people who work with robotics, people who do with cybernetics, who work on the systemic foundations of where the civilization is going, called Big History. So it's a very diverse group of leading scientists and practitioners who think, who try to identify where the humanity is going and what can be the integrative project that we all could do. And I think that the big transformation that we are very likely to experience is 6 different discussions, such as NB-IC convergence of different technologies, or singularity as a concept. It all indicates there will be a big transformation. And in our opinion, this big transformation will have to do with our consciousness and our relationship with technology and the big thing called internet, which now connects us all. So we call this, I was yesterday at Michio Kaku's presentation, he called it BrainNet, the new net that will connect all human individuals, and we call it NeuroWeb. So our initiative is, can you bring to the very last slide? No, the very last. I will present everything at the end of this conference today. Yeah, the very, very last, yes. Thank you. So our initiative is threefold. So we think about all these transformations very pragmatically. So we try to identify projects that can be done now, can be done within the next 5 years, next 10 years, to come to this ultimate big vision. And the first thing we do is roadmap, which essentially is to identify what this big vision is. It's a collective roadmap created collectively by, in Russia it was about 100 people involved in the process. And quite a big share of them are transhumanist group and scholars and practitioners. And from this year we want to launch this project internationally. And in the end of 2014 we're going to have a big session in Moscow. You are invited. We will have some people sponsored. We will try to bring leading neuroscientists and scholars of and psychologists and other relevant scholars of collective intelligence who can work on this roadmap. But we also want broader groups, so you are invited. And there is a Facebook group, and you can connect to me. And apart from that, we are going to launch a sort of philosophical discussion on what are the implications of such technologies are going to be. So there will be a book. We already started a Russian version. We published a thing called NeuroWeb Manifesto. And there is an English translation in our website too. And we want to have a sort of polylogue. So we invite different people to write essays on their own reflection of what the implication of these technologies can be for the humanity. And the big questions such as what will be the implication of ethics, because ethics will be transformed, culture will be transformed. We want to have a broad discussion. We're going to bring in leading scholars, leading international scholars into that. We already recruited some of them. I don't want to throw names now, but it will be a very, let's say, high-level discussions in terms of intellectual intensity. I'm hoping for that. And the third component is we want to raise people and projects who are actually thinking about this in practical terms. So we're going to start an educational program. Most likely it will transform into a master program, which will be a sort of network program between different universities. For now it's going to be done in Russia, but we want later to scale up internationally. So next year there is an initiative called Future Biotech. It's a school, it's graduate school in Europe. And we will run the session in 2015 of this school dedicated to neuroscience and its connection to ICT and to the technologies of internet. And from that we want to scale up and bring it as an international educational program where we raise masters of NeuroWeb and practical projects such as startups or social initiatives and so forth. So you are all welcome to join this. I'm hoping some of you will be enthusiastic about it. And please log into our website, to our Facebook group. It just has started. We went international literally this week. And I will be speaking at the end of the day to describe in more detail what we are actually doing, what is our thought about where the situation goes, what is NeuroWeb in our understanding. Thank you.